Do you have a sense of what you'd like to work on today?
Yeah, I'm thinking about business coaching and where I want to go from here. Do you want me to get more specific at this moment, or?
When you say business coaching, what does that mean?
Well, just the conversations that we've been having around getting galleries, and I feel like I'm at a different place in the year with all of that, and I'm reconfiguring, reorienting, and wanting to make another big go at producing inventory and applying to galleries. And there's some struggle, there's some blockage there. So I want to explore that,
Yeah, great.
and really like what I want to get out of it is kind of like it feels kind of big, honestly, bringing because this is like it's a new season. It's like a do-over or a next step, right? So like
Yeah, expanding into more.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I kind of need to have another look at that and understand like what I learned and what are the missing ingredients, what do I really want around all of that.
What did you learn? Is that
What
or
it, yeah, like what did I learn from the previous experiments that we've been doing all year, and now like how do I put now what?
now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would it mean to you to be able to review this, go into the now what? What's the significance of that?
It feels big. It's like I made some nice little experiments, but now I want stuff to actually stick, like I really want to see the path and do the things and actually make things bigger, better, brighter, more exciting. I really want to feel the passion in doing it. Like, and I feel like the experiments that we've been playing with have been meaningful, and it's also been sort of a slog. So I'm almost looking for the feeling of like the feeling of the doing. Like what am I actually trying to create here is what I'm curious about.
Got it. I heard you say like see the path.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say more about what that means?
What that means?
Yeah,
I mean,
the
just
path.
it's more of a feeling at this point, but I want to feel like I know what I'm up to, like I know what I'm moving towards, and I have
And
this.
right now?
Well, I have this sort of like idea, like it's a sort of a shouldy idea,
Hmm.
where it's like, oh, I should get X amount of galleries, and I should be doing this for my career, and it's like, is that really fun or a match? And it doesn't feel like it. So now there's just a lot of gray area. What else might I be doing that?
So it sounds like we're going from should, this like I should be doing this, like
Yeah,
pulling,
yeah,
dragging yourself along, and we're going into this.
yeah.
What is this? How would we know we'd arrived here in this
Yeah,
other
it's like the
thing?
best expression of me in the world. It just feels really super aligned and easeful. It's just an easy expression of who I am.
And when you're fully expressed in who you are, what does that look like?
It looks like laughter in motion.
Laughter in motion.
That just came up.
I love that. um, it's kind of reminiscent of the thing on your fridge that says, I want to paint like birds sing.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be laughter in motion.
Yeah,
Got it. With regard, where would it be most significant for you to shift from should to laughter in motion?
yeah. Like connecting my work in other places.
And that means what? Like bringing art to other galleries? That means something else? It's a
Yeah,
mystery?
that's the question mark. I mean, is it this lock on this story about other galleries, or is it that and something else? I don't really know. It's like
Yeah.
I want to make a path that feels unique and aligned with me, not just the idea of like I have to hang my hopes and dreams on getting accepted into galleries, which there's so much more than that to make a connection.
What more is there?
Well, what comes to mind immediately is just sharing with people my art. That doesn't necessarily have to be in a commercial gallery situation. So, conversation, I don't know. See, that's like, it's kind of an I don't know space, but what I see in my mind's eye when we talk about galleries, it's like, it's the system and people and getting accepted. And when it's just a conversation and making a connection and sharing, it has a totally different feeling to it.
How does the I don't know space relate to the I should space?
They feel really different. One is like the should space is like I'm like following a myth or something. Like I feel like I need to cram myself into that, and the I don't know space feels more interesting, more fertile, more like making a painting.
Got it. So what would you like by the end of this session? Like, do we have a plan? Are we feeling differently? What's the thing that would like have you land and be like, ah, yes.
It would be nice to like have the feeling, so I know what I'm moving towards. That can be like the coordinates is the feeling, and then like some to-dos as well, like what actually.
And when you say the feeling, do you mean laughter in action?
Yeah,
or emotion?
yeah, and maybe what is connected to that. I'm not sure yet.
Great. Do you have a sense of where you'd like to start exploring laughter in motion?
Right here, right now, I don't know.
I'm still dialing in. Like I want to like fully like land on that same page before we like launch off.
Yeah.
When you say you want to have some action items, does that mean action items that are taking you like into more embodiment? Is it like in your ideal world? Are they action items that are going to lead to more money? Are they leading to like a new way? Like in your ideal world, what would that action be taking you towards?
Towards feeling really excited about doing the work to get my art more into the world. So identifying what I actually want to do next instead of sort of trying to cram myself into this idea of should.
Okay. So I think I'm getting it more, right? Of like, I'm excited to get my work into the world. Right now, and up until now, I'm aware that you're excited to do the art, right? And you're even like excited to talk about the art with people. But you haven't been excited to do the business of art or to try and sell the art. Is that right?
Mostly. I mean, I do have one very comfortable selling situation.
Right. You've got your one gallery.
Right. But I need to and I want to
You want to
expand into multiple other scenarios.
Got it. So let's just pause it there. I want to. I liked how you caught that. I need to. Oh, I want to. Right. So I want you to just slow down and say that one more time. I want to expand, and just notice what comes up.
I want to expand. It's scary. It's like the boundary is right there. Like.
Yeah. Okay. Say it again.
I want to expand.
What happens this time?
I feel more curious.
You feel more curious. More curiosity. Say it again.
More curiosity?
Bring more curiosity and say, I want to expand.
I want to expand.
Even more.
I want to expand.
Exaggerate that. Yes, more of that.
I want to expand. I want to expand.
And even more expansion.
I want to expand.
What's happening?
I'm noticing the laughter, which I feel curious about.
What do you think the laughter's saying?
There's like a sense of levity to it. So like expansion can be levity.
Maybe a little laughter in motion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have you say it one more. Maybe not one more time. We might do it more. But I'm gonna have you say it again, and just see if you can connect with that as a true desire that you feel.
I want to expand.
Yeah. Is that going all the way through, or is there like, what's happening with that?
It feels like I'm trying to locate like my inner North Star or something, like where it really is very centered, and it's not quite there.
Okay.
But
What's there instead?
it's it's
What's
like
there?
it's
What's this?
yeah, it's like it's a little bit far away somehow. It feels hard to explain. It's like it is true, but it feels like I'm yelling it down a dark hallway or
Uh huh.
something.
I wonder if you'd be okay if we try a little experiment.
Sure,
You said it's a little bit far away. May I invite you to close your eyes?
sure.
This thing that's far away, where do you imagine it now? Is it in front, behind, to the right, below? Can you
It's
see if
like
you can? Yeah, you
it's
can look at it.
it's just like it's down there by the river.
And so when you visualize it, does it have a shape or a color?
Well, as I tune into it, it looks like the river, or it basically is the river. Like it's silver, and it's flowing very slowly and winding, but it's very relaxed.
Very relaxed, but it's over there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to invite you in your mind's eye to see if you can invite it closer and notice what happens.
I get an image of the river, how it's changed over time, and like how those windy curves change in a year. Like depending on the flow of the water.
Yeah, it's not the same. So, the actual true congruent desire to expand. What happens to it now that we've visualized it, seen it as a river, seen that it moves through time, through the year? Is it changed or is it the same?
Where it lives in me?
Yeah.
I feel like I have a relationship with it now, like a different relationship with it.
Got it.
It's like a really juicy metaphor to work with.
Yeah. It seems like this is important to you, to have bringing in the language of metaphor and art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What changes?
Mm. It's like I can wrap my mind around it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't feel like the should cram into the box of having galleries in a particular way. It's like, oh, it has a life, it has a time,
Yeah.
something I can feel and have a relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not, I need more galleries now, if I'm understanding you. It's, I want to expand.
Huh. Yeah.
Right? That it's something that feels more encompassing of that.
Yeah.
So, as you connect with this, okay, I want to expand. What immediately, like, as that starts to get closer, if you're more in relationship with it, what comes up?
I know how to be in relationship with a river.
Got it. So you know how to be in a relationship with a river. Okay, here we go. How is being in relationship with a river exactly like being in relationship with expanding your capacity for the business of art?
I heard you. Will you just say it one more time?
Mm-hmm. How is building a relationship with the river just like building a relationship, a new relationship, with expanding your art into the world?
I have to visit often.
You have to visit often.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more.
That's how I have a relationship with the river already.
Yeah.
And I just have to show up and be there and communicate and walk around and look and honor and be in awe. And so that could be the exact same metaphor for doing the business of art.
I noticed the laughter. What's happening?
Oh, it just feels easy. I know how to show up.
Yeah.
I know how to be in awe.
I remember we talked in the past about this question of, am I good enough to, am I worthy? Am I able?
Mm-hmm.
to make money as art. And we kind of land in this place of like, oh, it's really about learning and strategies. It's more about this than like worthiness, right? And I wonder if there's a connection there with the learning. Like, oh, I'm just here to learn. If that connects with this daily interaction, how that connects.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels manageable. It feels exciting and interesting. Like, I want to go visit the river. I want to go for a walk to the river. So, could I be in the place of wanting to go toy around with the business of art? Could I have that same excitement?
What is it about the river that draws you in, that makes you want to go visit it?
It's beautiful, it's soothing, it's dynamic. There's a lot of other creatures there. It's like, it feels like community grows around the river.
Take a little
Yeah.
note, community.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like community in business might be an important piece for you. What comes up hearing that?
It just makes sense. It feels logical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't get done. Can't get things done just by myself.
So we've got the river, right, which represents your ability to expand. Expand in, like, what did you say? Laughter in motion. Building your business through laughter and motion is your way of being. So, what? How do I want to ask this? What's going to bring you to the river of this expansion, right? So we just talked about what draws you to the actual river. What draws you to this new river, this new relationship?
I mean, it's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to put the art out into the world and make the connections. I know the word supposed to might feel like a very should kind of word, but it's not. It's like, that is part of the vision. Like, it's not just making artwork at home so I can enjoy myself. It's like, it represents something larger to me, my purpose on the planet.
It's like, I almost hear it as like, maybe there's like a finicky part of the painting that you still have to do if you want a full painting.
Yeah.
And this is this sort of that. It's like, oh, it's an additional piece if I want to complete the experience of being an artist.
Yeah.
Professional artist.
Yeah.
I'm really appreciating the way that you clarified, right? That it's not a shouldy supposed to. What kind of supposed to is it? If you could say a little bit more.
Well, the work that I make is about nature and joy, and those are two things that I really believe in. And so I'm a representative of those things, and when I make connections with my clients or people around my art, it's meaningful. It makes meaning in the world. And so that's my little spot of agency with my little life. That's what I need to be doing with my life. So, am I answering the question?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I like what you said. It brought up another question, which is how is this process, the process of business, kind of similar to nature?
It's sharing in a community. That's what nature does.
Yeah.
There's mutual sharing within community that's supportive and dynamic and important.
Yeah. So let's come back. I want to expand. I just want to have you try that one on again.
I want to expand.
It almost sounded like there was like an and there. I want to expand. I felt like there was more. Was there any more that could come up?
I didn't have any other words. But yeah, I feel connected to like what comes next. I want to expand.
Yeah.
I feel more grounded.
Yeah.
It's not so, yeah, it's very different than how it was a little bit ago.
Yeah. Part of why I'm just to like reveal part of why I have you come back to that is often people come in, they're like, I want this. And what's real is that they have a part that wants this, and they have another part that's like, hell no, I don't want that, you know. And then there's another part that's like, I just want to sleep, you know. And then it's like it's a community right inside, and so often this voice is coming from that should, and so I like to sort of take time to deepen that to be like, it doesn't have to be the only voice, but it needs to make it all the way to the ground. You know what I mean? So have we landed on the ground? Has this desire actually got legs?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. So where do we go from here? Are you ready to dream up some bold new action?
Sure.
Or is there some other block?
Well, I always think that the block that's there is being somewhat of an introvert, and it's like bottom line, like fear of rejection or something along those lines. You know, so whatever, it's there.
Okay. Fear of rejection. This is, I noticed that fear of rejection often stops many of my clients from getting started, or they add meaning to it where they start and then stop, right? And I see this a lot. So I'm curious about a little bit more about your relationship to rejection.
Uh, hmm. It's a big question.
We don't have to go there, but I think it seems like it's relevant. If it's something that would
Yeah.
actually stop you otherwise,
Yeah,
then something we want to address.
Yeah, I'm super willing to go there. I was just trying to land on like how to get specific around that. It feels kind of like fear of rejection and not good enough, because not good enough is one of those things that can dog me as well. So they feel a little bit connected.
Right. I've been rejected, therefore the meaning I make is I'm not good enough. Is that does that tie them together for you?
Yeah, it's a pretty broad stroke, but yeah, it's in there.
What's more true?
Rejection sensitivity, like it's physically painful to be rejected, and like the rumination that can happen in that spot, so it can be very energetically sucking. And so like wanting to engage that whole process can be like, oh no, thank you, I think I'll just make
It's
paintings
too much. Yeah.
and be an introvert. And
So it's physically painful. It creates rumination. That's a lot. That's quite a masochistic endeavor if we leave it just as it is.
right, so how to get beyond that.
Yeah. Or even, I don't know if beyond is the word. Maybe something else. Yeah. So let's take a look. Let's say that you go out and you try some different endeavors. It may be looking for new galleries. It may be some new bold action. Let's say you get rejected. What's predictable from there for you? How does it go? How will it go?
It doesn't feel good. I kind of don't understand what to do next, and but I keep trying. Like I keep showing up. You know.
So, and I notice you like
Yeah.
this. So, when you said I keep trying, I got curious. Like, do you keep trying from like this place? Like,
I feel like I keep trying from like that confused place. Like, okay, well, I don't know. It feels like a crapshoot. I'll just keep trying, And keep trying might turn into actual action, like some of the things that we did this year, or it might be like rumination. Keep trying.
I'm trying. Right. In the same way that if you ask someone asks you, how's your kid doing? Well, they're really trying. It tells you a lot about how it's going.
Right. Like nothing is actually connecting, is what it feels like. It's just sort of empty activity somehow at some point.
So rejection right now has a certain meaning, and that meaning generates a feeling,
Mm.
and that feeling generates a way of being in an attitude, and that attitude generates your action. So
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Break those down. So it's a whole cascade. Do you see an opportunity for intervention anywhere in there?
The thing that comes up is just how to start from a place of laughter and motion, or set up the cascade to end up at laughter and motion
Laughter.
somehow.
Interesting. Huh. That's cool. So what would have to be happen at this meaning space that would allow you to go? Because right now the meaning that you make of rejection is what?
It's it's like it's undecipherable. I don't understand what to do next.
It's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Hmm. So what if, at this point of rejection, you could? It's almost where I hear it is like I don't know what to make it mean, right?
Well, yeah, it's like it's a crazy lockbox of information. I don't know who's out there on the other side doing whatever with my portfolio, my application, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. It feels kind of like a lockbox of secrecy. It makes no sense. And then to do it again, it's like that new lockbox is different. It makes no
Ah.
sense. So,
So let's say that your confusion is wise. Let's just for a moment assume, like, what if the confusion that you feel in that moment is wisdom and is showing up as wisdom? What do you think the wisdom is there for you?
that's a crazy question. What's the wisdom of feeling confused about being rejected by like the blank I don't know who's behind the curtain kind of thing? What's the wisdom? It's a confusing situation. Why would I understand it? It's very secret and blank, and I don't have any access to that. What's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah.
I mean, as I say that, I think I could,
Oh, I
but
could.
I could
So,
get access, but it feels like a tangent.
well, let's follow it. It's like, because I'll just reveal on my side, like, confusion in coaching, for me as a coach, happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I evaluate students, it's like, I'm confused a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I notice that they're also confused,
Uh-huh.
but they don't honor it. And they try and continue as if they weren't.
Yeah.
And then very little value
Mm-hmm.
occurs,
Yeah.
right, in those sessions. And so, like for me, right, confusion is, oh, I notice I'm confused. I think I need to learn more.
Uh-huh.
So I wonder in that spot,
Mm.
right, if your confusion says, I don't understand, I don't need know enough. Like,
Uh-huh.
what is it that wants to be learned? What is, like, if we were to dial into that confusion a little more, what's actually, like, what is it asking you to learn more about?
Well, I think even before like the specific of that, it's like I need to insert curiosity in that spot because I'm a pro at curiosity, and like to go from confusion to figuring out something doesn't feel right in my body, but to go from confusion to
Curiosity.
curiosity, and then that feels like a more wide open
Ah,
space.
so okay, we're going. So the intervention is I feel confused.
Get curious.
Get curious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because yeah, that's a totally different space than feeling that sense of that rejection sensitivity too.
Right. So before you would have, you have the meaning, right? Like this is confusing, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go to the feeling of like overwhelm and all this stuff, and now you're like, I'm gonna go to the feeling of like curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
What does curiosity suggest about like? Curiosity is also almost like an attitude.
Uh-huh.
What does it suggest about the action that you might take?
That it's just an experiment. That it's not so heavy and laden and spooky. It's just play. It's just play.
There's like the way that you've talked about it in the past and also now is like I've been rejected, like Whereas you know, like with kids, they're playing, they're trying things, and then something doesn't work, and they're like, "Oh my god," or like when they try and little kids have like an object, and they, you see babies doing this. They try and figure out how reality works, and you know, they like they drop something and like, oh, it fell, and then they kind of figure it out. But they're not. There's not a point where they're like trying to put something in the air, and they're like, oh my god, like what does this mean about me?
Yeah.
Like it didn't stay in the air, like I've been rejected.
There's no judgment.
It's just like, oh, that's happened. Okay. Huh. Like what can happen here, right?
Yeah.
So there's intervention that's possible of like, oh, like they said no. Huh. Right? In the same way that it's like it rained.
Yeah.
So what does that give you? What comes up hearing that?
Well, I like identifying this, like the feeling of agency in my body around I can choose to be curious, you know.
Yeah.
And then that goes a really long way. That opens up the whole playing field to something else than
Yeah.
what I was making it to mean.
Yeah. You once said that this energy, the laughter emotion, you described it as otter
Yeah.
energy in a previous session.
Yeah.
Um, and I wonder if we bring that back. Because I think it's powerful to repeat, to come back to these archetypes that we've identified in past sessions. What does the otter have to say
About this?
about like where Ivy goes from here when it comes to exploring, building that relationship with the river, the river otter?
Ooh, yeah, it feels so good, doesn't it? It's like the shape of the river is the same shape as the otter. Very fluid and easy, and then I just feel like their curiosity, how they look at things and touch, and we're just always in action and floating on the back, and I don't know, just all the little movements. It's just constant experimentation and play, and really in some ways it's just really it feels more like presence. They're just present in the river, in their bodies, what they're doing.
So what would it look like for you to get in that river and explore over this next week or month?
What would it look like? Yeah, just letting myself be curious and looking at things that sound intriguing or interesting. And like there's the intriguing, I know, needs to be connected to like the outcome. Like how do I actually share my art? So like somehow being curious about the possibility of sharing.
You've been so curious about process, and now we're adding in this piece about outcome. Now, I love, and we're still in this metaphor, but now I want to get more concrete.
Okay.
Curious about what? Like, what do you want to investigate? Do you want to look at like an accounting book? Do you want to like go interview other artists? Do you want to like, what does that mean to you? What do you get curious about? What?
Yeah, I don't know yet. I want to think about it for a second here. Yeah, I mean, it does look like looking at other artists' websites to see who's doing what, and that feels really playful. Just like, oh, I get to look at some art, it'll be fun, and then that'll start to lead me to some curiosities. I imagine there'll be galleries that pop up that I feel curious about, and then as I looked inward, just looking at places I might travel to go investigate, like, oh, there's cool galleries there, or that sounds intriguing, this experience, this whatever I discover, right? So like somehow travel and making connections, like expanding my mind about the possibilities and going places and making connections. And then there was like a little tendril of like alternative opportunities too, like being curious about who do I talk to? Who do I strike up a conversation with? What scenario might be fun to like insert myself into an art context that is surprising? Like, what if I'm just selling, I mean, this is just right off the top of my head, but what if I'm in a park just suddenly selling my artwork? People come across something that's novel. So that's what I'm really going towards. Not that example so much, but creating a novel context for myself to share and make connection. Like, it doesn't have to be the gallery. It's like a both and.
Yeah. What could it be instead?
So many different things. It could be, a picnic table, an invitation, a dinner party, an installation, a
Wow,
hike.
I've never heard you describe these
Yeah.
options before.
Yeah.
I just had the image of us walking through the aspen forest and your paintings
Yeah, me
on
too.
trees
Yeah,
as we
me
go
too.
through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, seems like possibilities opening up as we think about this in a totally new way.
Yeah.
So let's get concrete. What do you want to commit to this week?
I want to commit to showing up from a place of curiosity. I want to commit to remembering otter and river when I sit down to engage the business of art, right? Do the research. I want to commit to looking at artist websites and taking notes, to be curious, just to like, it's kind of like a gathering. And I know I need to get more specific about that. I'm just letting myself ramble a little bit.
Let me ask another question.
Okay.
What are your top line takeaways from today so far?
That engaging, like expanding into the business of art, the metaphor of the river will be something that I revisit, and how that partners well with otter energy. I want to take away curiosity as a modus operandi in engaging the business of art. I also really like laughter in motion.
Laughter in motion.
As another mode of operating, or like a way of moving forward.
So for these mode of operating, it can be nice to talk about these in a moment. And I want you to be able to return to this. People often think about coaching as I have a session and then my life is different, right? And it's not that. It's okay, now that we're identifying this, it's going to be Ivy goes off and works her ass off to remember and return return to these again and again and again. So I'm curious if there's like a painting you want to make, or a physical reminder, a visual reminder that you want to create for yourself to remind you of the otter, the river, and the laughter in motion.
It seems like it would be really nice to have an image of each one of those things on the refrigerator, just to continue to pass by them all day long and remember myself.
And by when will you have those in the refrigerator?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. And who do you want to be accountable to?
Ooh, can I text you when I got them up there? Okay.
Totally. So
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, so that's the ontology, the attitude. Now let's talk about the tangible action. So you said 3 hours this week. 3 hours of what?
Of playful research and curiosity time.
Do you have a sense of what you're going to do in that time?
Get on the web and just kind of expand my mind and take notes, journal, maybe doodle. Like, it's very open gathering, and that will keep it in the fun space initially.
Yeah. And do you want to put that in your calendar before the end of today?
Sure.
You can
Yeah.
plug that in?
Yeah.
Okay. And who will you be accountable to?
I could certainly reach out to you. I'm trying to think of someone else in my world. I think I want to share that with Nicholas after I've completed those 3 hours and just...
So we have the saying, of support must be greater than resistance,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we're to be accountable to what we say we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any additional support that you need or that you might need in order to make this action, these 3 hours, just easy, harder to not do than to do?
Harder to do than to not do?
No, harder to not do. Like
Oh, harder to
you're
not do.
so
Okay.
supported that it'd be harder to run away from it
Okay.
than to actually show up and do it.
Any support that I need. I mean, I could build into this. I could tell Nicholas that I'm gonna reach out to you and share with you what I've learned after 3 hours. And so, um, it's not this. It's not exactly the same as support, but
But it's accountability.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose that would be supportive. Otherwise, like, it's just me. Like,
It's
I
just
just
you.
need to sit down and make the time for
Mhm.
it.
Great.
Yeah.
I need to. Notice that word.
What comes up in that space?
I wondered about it. Like, you were like, I want to, I need to. I wonder about that difference.
Well, I mean, I don't know right at this moment, but just talking about it, like, I'm in charge of my schedule.
Yeah.
Like, no one else is making time for me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm gonna push this even more because I'm
Okay.
like obsessed with
Okay.
like a support and accountability.
uh-huh.
Would it serve you to have someone that you are
Oh, like,
on
come
Zoom with
on, body
and like
double me.
body
Okay,
double, show
yeah.
up, share your screen?
Oh, huh. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? I feel that belief, like, like I got to do it by myself. Totally
Right.
creeps back in.
I'm such, again, I'm so much of my job is what if you didn't have to do this alone? What if you could have more support? What if you could have even more support? What if you didn't have to do that alone either? Okay. Do you have some people who might be willing to body double with you? You call
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah. Great. Who? I can do 1 hour with you actually.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. I could ask Joe. I could ask a couple of gallery friends that I know.
Great.
Yeah, it's interesting how vulnerable. I'm like right back to that vulnerable
Woo,
spot.
yeah.
Yeah.
By when will you reach out to them?
Mm, right after I complete the putting the 3 images on the refrigerator, so that'll be tomorrow night. That'll be my cue to do that.
Great. Beautiful.
Cue to reach out for body doubling. Okay.
Beautiful. I thank you for letting me, you know, do this with you.
Yeah.
Do you have any other final reflections?
No.
Great.
So how that session was for me was super fun, and I loved bringing in the nature metaphors. That was really great. How Peter opened up the possibility of whatever it might be, and of course, here we are sitting in nature. So that really worked for me that we went there. I'm still kind of in that post-coaching haze. My brain is like reorienting, so I can't see it all super well, but I remember the feeling in my body of like a couple separate focuses. Like, we focused on the internal feeling, the laughter and motion. I felt like Peter really worked to like helped me to define what I was feeling and what was happening, and he did that to get in touch in himself also. So I felt a great attunement, and it was sweet to share. But yeah, I feel like what was really most effective was like these different parts where we shaped out some different things in terms of like what it meant, how it feels in me, what I want, that part, what the imagery and the metaphor is. So like all of that has landed really deeply in me, and then there's practical things at the end too. So I've got a lot to work with. So how it was for me was really illuminating, and have a lot of homework to do, which feels good.
If you like this demo and you want to see more demos and more videos on how to build your coaching skills and your coaching business, subscribe and check out all our videos.